and other people like this philosopher Fernando Fuensalida, who used to be the consul or the prime minister of Peru in that time, and he was interested in the UFO phenomena. What happened is that the Peruvian Air Force didn't want the media knocking their doors and trying to find out more, and maybe changing the subject into more spectacular or bizarre news. But they were eager to know. And what happened is that Jamie Maussan was very kind enough to show the whole context of the video, not the one we see on the internet. The one we see on the internet, I think, is 5 minutes. The whole content is like 15 minutes. And they were fighter pilots there. They knew how to operate that camera. When they check it out, they said, this is not a fake one. This is not a hoax. We can tell the coordinates, the altitude, all the instruments and the gadgets there, and said this is a real video. So then after that, after Jamie Maussan gave a wonderful lecture explaining about the ET presence and what happened behind the curtains when the Ministry of Defense in Mexico in that time gave him the video and making a press conference open to the public, he told all the details, And then after that, all these military personnel, came forward and started to tell their testimony how they chased in a specific different part of Peru UFOs, how they've been following UFOs, So that's why they created the bureau or the office of internal affairs related to aerial phenomena, quote, not UFOs. For them, the technical word is aerial phenomena. Try to train their own people and to give, a better report when these UFOs are in the national airspace, because whatever object, whatever aircraft is getting without permission to the national airspace, you have to identify them. Maybe it's from Brazil, maybe it's from Colombia, maybe it's a drug dealer, maybe it's a terrorist, maybe it's whatever, someone who get lost. But it's a UFO. How you can do that? Not because you are a member of the Air Force. You know how to make a report. You know how to handle that. So that was also part of the system they implemented, in that time. And it was through this private conference that I was, in charge to coordinate. And it went very well. And it helped to educate also the officers or the Air Force how to handle the information and how to understand that it's a real phenomena. And they have so many testimonies to share, believe me, Tom and Ramon, that there were cases that you will never expect to know. Even though after that, it created such opportunity that I have copies of 2 magazines, from the official magazines of the Peruvian Air Force, with 2 articles related to UFOs, written, by Peruvian Air Force officers. So that's the way it is open over there. The same thing in Brazil, the same thing in Chile, the same thing in Uruguay, and the same thing in Ecuador. So, Colombia will be next. Perhaps Venezuela will be next. In Costa Rica, it's a big time. I've been there in Costa Rica 5 times. And we have some experience there near the volcano Iguazu, which is nearby 2 hours from the capital of Costa Rica, San Jose. We have UFO sightings. It was recorded for 30 minutes. And 2 weeks later, there was a UFO wave in Costa Rica in such spectacular way that even people driving their cars downtown San Jose stopped in the middle of the streets, came out of the cars just to see in the sky all these UFOs hovering. You don't see that on CNN. You don't see that in other major, and I wonder, another major TV corporation, but it was just mind-blowing. So from now on, you have on a regular basis information about UFO presence in Costa Rica, in Peru, in Chile, in Brazil, in Uruguay, and in Ecuador. So that is welcome. It's not taking as something bizarre or is a or is a balloon or is a weather effect. Or it is a UFO or it's not. And you can have the testimonies from people, civilians, as well as people from the armed forces over there.
My question to you is, if you had to guess, which country would be the first country to have direct contact with extraterrestrials? Like, they come down
on an official basis, you mean?
Yeah, on an official basis.
This is very interesting question. This is a good one, really. Au contraire, the country who can deliver the biggest, news in the world and change the course of events, it's America. It's the United States of America. And I think based on the circumstances that we're living right now, because we're in crisis. I'm not talking only about the economy or politics. We're talking about many things going on the planet right now. But the only superpower that have soft power, I mean diplomacy, and have muscle power, I mean military power and presence in the world, it is the United States. Upon the circumstances, and I will say, and in a midterm, in the next 10 years after 2012, there will be the opportunity of a coherent approach from ET intelligence with the American elite. When I say American elite, I say the militaries and the politicians, and they will offer an encounter, and it depends how these people handle the situation, because there is a pattern. This is the only country when someone like Kenneth Arnold in 1947 coined the term flying saucer. This is the only country that in September, that was if I'm not wrong, June 24th, when Kenneth Arnold flying in Mount Rainier in Washington State, coined the term flying saucer. The next month, in July, if I'm not wrong, 7th of July, there was a UFO, Roswell crash UFO in New Mexico. In September 1947, there was this first document in that time from the military Air Force. There were not separate branches. There were not the U.S. Air Force. It was a military Air Force with one of the biggest top commanders talking about classified information that the ET presence was real and was not from another superpower like Russia or China, another country. That was real. That the ET presence was real. And that was in 1947. Then you have the Cold War contactees. When I would say Cold War contactees, like George Adamski, Daniel Fry, and I'm forgetting the third one. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Barney and Betty.
No.
Betty Barney Hill was in the 60s. There was another person. I forgot his name right now, but there was.
Isn't his name George too? George.
No, not. I think it's
George Adamski and George. He's from California, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's from California. He was involved in the military. No, he was from New York, from New Jersey. I forgot.
Oh,
his name.
you're talking about
from New Jersey.
From New Jersey.
He moved to California, and he died just 10 years ago. And he was also part of the army for a moment. And he have
Corso. You're not talking about Corso.
No.
Not Philip Corso. He's a contactee, a well-known contactee, and I forgot his name. I'm gonna try to find it.
I have it in a book.
Yeah. But these Cold War contactees are the ones who start to say, the dangers of nuclear weapons, of weapons of mass destruction that can, wipe out the human race. And then you have, in the 60s, you have...
You're talking about George Van Tassel.
Not him. You're close. Not George Van Tassel. There's another one who's not, people have forgot about him, but he have the most spectacular cases with witnesses, local witnesses, even local policemen, and he was able to give them and release them films about this program, pre-coordinated UFO sightings. His case is really, really spectacular, and many people have forgotten about him. But anyway, his name will come in a moment. Then you have in the 60s, as Tom said, Betty and Barney Hill, the biracial couple that in 1961 have this case of abduction. At the same time, what was happening in the United States? It was happening the first movement of civil rights movement with Martin Luther King, and the ETs to call the attention of the public and the media choose a biracial couple, Betty and Barney Hill. So if this contact would have happened in Russia, would have prospered, would have been, on the media? No. As a matter of fact, in 1944, there was a huge UFO wave in Russia. There were contactees in Russia. There were members of the Russian Air Force, Soviet Union Air Force in that time, but they were not able to talk to the media because that was a communist country. There is no free press, free opinion there. So if a contactee will have the same opportunity in Cuba or in, South Africa in the moment of apartheid, or, other countries like Germany and Italy recovering from the Second World War, no, it is a very close relationship with the ET presence and the United States. So in the 60s, you have the first cases of abductions. You had the first time when the people start to experience with psychedelic drugs to have this expansion of consciousness. It was happening right here in the United States. Then in the 70s, what happened? You have the major contactees, Billy Mayer, Jean-Claude Bourillon, Enrique Castillo Rincon, and the Rama group in Latin America. All of them decided to form groups. Decided to form the contactee around the contactees, form groups around them. At the same time, in the early 70s, what happened? For the very first time, Saudi Arabia blackmailed the Western societies, with trying to cut off oil production. So there is a pattern here that I've been researching, that I find out through the years, based on the information that I received from them. So and that's also the subject of my third book, my first book in English, which will be, ET Presence, USA, and New World Order. So there is a pattern here, and there is a reason you have these esoteric symbols in the most popular currency in the dollar bill. There's no other country in the world that have esoteric symbols in the paper currency. There is a reason why it's so popular. Everybody can see the pyramid, the eye, all-seeing eye, Novus Ordo Secularum, New World Order, all these Masonic related Rosicrucian related symbols around it, because there's a reason about that. And the reason is very close related with the ET presence. I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it because I have it in this book.
So it's almost seeming like somebody could probably make a case for the extraterrestrials subtly guiding society. They like with the for the Betty and Barney Hill thing, abducting that interracial couple right during the civil rights movement. I mean, was it which came first, the chicken or the egg type thing? Was that instance have something to do with the creation of the civil rights movement, or bringing it more to the consciousness of society?
Bringing more to the consciousness of society, Tom, I think so, because they don't care. They don't see the difference that we have the difference here. Let's say for a moment, we are invited to have a contact with them, a pre-coordinated contact. They say, let's go to this area here next month at Saturday, 8 o'clock. You can be there and bring 2 more guests that you consider they can handle the situation. You are welcome to have a UFO sighting to start a basic interaction with us. But in the meantime, we're going to pack our backpacks, our camp tent and everything, get all our stuff, our gear, and then we go and take all of us in one car and go to the highway. But something happened to the engine or to the tire or whatever, and we don't arrive in time, and we miss the opportunity. They don't understand that something happened to our engine. They don't understand that perhaps you have to work overtime because you have to work. If not, you can have problems, with your boss or your supervisor. They don't have problems because, I got sick, I got the flu. What is the flu for them? What is working overtime? You have to work for money? How is that? That doesn't mean they are gods, they understand everything. But at the same time, they use, in purpose, these people to trigger the attention of the media. for the very first time. There has been other